everyone, I'm Kara, also known as the Chatterbox. And if you like and subscribe, just maybe I'll zip my mouth. Which is kind of impossible since I started talking ever since I was a teeny weeny baby. Mommy? Daddy? I've been laying here thinking, and you know what? I'm thinking we should change the color of this room. Pink? Who does pink these days? That's gender color bias. I've got plans. First we're going... I've always been a talker. I spoke in complete sentences when I was just 6 months old. And from that moment on, nobody could slow me down or find my off switch. I loved learning about things and sharing. I'd talk to anyone about anything. Unfortunately, I was the only child, so I didn't have too many people to share with. My parents were very busy people. As I was explaining to the cook, whale sharks are not really whales. Look, these are the gills. Did you know that whales have lungs instead of gills? It's not even a real shark since it eats only plankton, so it's called a whale shark, but it's really
your dinner, Kara.
But Mom, you didn't even look. What do you think, Dad? Dad, you like to fish, right? My parents loved their phones and laptops more than me, and that's why I ended up talking to all my dolls. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I will be performing the epic poem, The Iliad. Please hold your applause until the very end. Since my parents never gave me much attention, when I was at school, I made the best of it. I was the smartest person in my class. Okay, children, who knows the answer to this question? Oh, me! Pick me! I know. Anyone else other than Kara? Please, I'm begging you. Anyone? Kara, once again. I just read about this, and the answer is actually quite long and complicated. If we're going to be talking about how big the Earth is, we have to talk about atoms, and if we're going to be talking about atoms, we have to talk about... I was so excited to share. I don't know what came over me, but I just couldn't stop. I spoke so much that the teachers had to call my parents. They rushed me to the doctor, and that's when I was diagnosed with a compulsive talking disorder.
That's it. Concentrate on the breathing. Slowly breathe. Don't talk, just breathe deeply.
The doctor said deep breaths would help me control my disorder. But as soon as I left, my body adapted. Did you know that there are only 8 planets in our solar system? And there are 100,000 million stars. Pluto used to be a planet, but it got delisted. Can you believe that planets can be delisted? Do you know who is responsible for poor Pluto? I can tell you. Hold on.
She's worse.
My parents couldn't take it any longer, so the next day, they sent me to live with my grandfather. To say my grandfather's farm was struggling was an understatement.
Hello, sweetie. I know we don't have much here, but anything I have is yours. Would you like to learn how to grow some crops? Maybe you'll have better luck than I've had.
Oh, yes! I'd love that! Granddad showed me everything. I started reading more about plants. I learned how to operate all the heavy-duty equipment. I even flew a crop duster a few times. In no time, our farm was filled with all sorts of gigantic vegetables and plants. I read in one of my granddad's books that talking to the plants would help them grow. It's the CO2 in our breath. So I held full conversations with every plant and insect I could find. And to my surprise, something amazing happened. Our farm quickly became a tourist attraction, and I had become quite famous for having the most beautiful crops and flowers in the whole country.
Young lady, how are you able to turn this far around so quickly?
Oh, that's easy. You need good soil, water, and some awesome plant food.
Oh, what kind of food do you use?
Glad you asked. How much time you got? Every supermarket and flower shop were knocking down our doors to get our beautiful crops. And then one day, after so many years, guess who decided to show up?
Hey, honey. Your mom and I saw you on the news. We always knew you were a special kid. Are you ready to come home?
Aren't you going to say anything?
Is that a...
soapbox?
How dare you! This is my home now! All you two care about is work! I'm tired of being treated like an annoyance! Granddad actually listened to me when I spoke and encouraged me to use my voice, and look what happened! We've paid off all his debt! And another thing, it's been like, 6 years? And now, while I was still busy giving Mom and Dad a piece of my mind, a fancy car pulled up and an older man stepped out, dressed in royal garments.
Are you the young lady from this paper?
Yes, that's me! Pay no attention to these people. They were just leaving.
Young lady, this is some of the most impressive florist work I've seen, well, ever. We could use your services at the palace.
The king wanted us to live within the castle and headquarters, and I couldn't wait to settle in. Perfect! And I couldn't wait to start my new job in my humongous new home. But I had a lot to learn. As I watered the flowers,
I heard a girl's voice.
Go on, speak up or you're going into that filthy water. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? You can't even get the words out without stuttering, can you? You bring nothing but shame to our family.
Hey! Leave him alone! The only shame that will come to your family is from the king trying to put a crown on that giant head of yours. It'll be called the Cranium Conundrum.
How dare you speak to me that way? I'm telling the royal guards.
Are you sure you can fit that massive brain pan through the chamber doors, Your Majesty? Or shall we grease it up first?
Thanks for saving me. I'm Alfie.
Oh, I know who you are, Your Majesty. We've read every book about you guys. For example, your great-great-grandmother was allergic to mustard. Also, her cat was gluten-free. Did you know that, Your Majesty? His royalty, Alfonso?
I didn't, but can you please call me Al?
Wait a second. Let me get this straight. You have difficulty speaking? I know someone who can help. From then on, Alfonso and I were inseparable. I taught him how to publicly speak, and he taught me how to slow down and use my gift of gab not to drive everyone away. We played games to improve the prince's vocabulary and pronunciation. We lip-synced karaoke together to help his stutter. Besides my flowers and grandfather, Alfonso was the only person I wanted to be around.
I don't think I can give my speech for this parade. What if I stutter again?
I'll be right there, and you will be just fine.
Thank you, Kara.
He hugged me, and for some odd reason, I felt butterflies in my tummy. We had practiced for months on his speech, and finally the day had arrived. But just before Alfonso was about to go live, I saw Esmeralda fiddling with some wires. I knew she was up to no good. What exactly are you doing, Esmeralda?
That's Your Majesty to you. And if you really want to know, I'm going to show the country exactly how pathetic my brother is. This recording of him stuttering will put him in his place. If you were smart, you would stay out of royal business.
I couldn't let her sabotage the only friend I had. If this got me kicked out, then so be it. I did the only thing I knew how to do well. I spoke. With a disguised voice, of course.
The kingdom my father has built is being bespeeched by those who wish to pursue their selfish agendas.
When our speech finished, Alfonso was a national celebrity.
I can't thank you enough.
Your sister didn't stand a chance. We're a great team, Al.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Kara. The speech was so good, my family is sending me on a world tour. I'll be gone for a year.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
I'll make sure to send you a TikTok every day.
How about every hour?
I have another surprise. I told my father how much you helped me, and he got you into the best school in the country. If anyone deserves to have their brains recognized, it's you.
When I first met this dorky screw-up, I thought of him as my kid brother. As we sat by the lake and I looked into his eyes, I started to think I might be falling for him. Just like that, my best friend was gone. Now I was at the mercy of a little tyrant with a gigantic head. Everyone was excited for my first day of school, except me. I was going to the richest school in the country, but I wasn't rich. My clothes were not exactly designer brands. All I had going for me was my brain and big mouth. But after all, it's just a school, I thought. Couldn't be that bad, could it? So, yeah, turns out plenty can go bad when you're on the wrong side of a princess. The next 6 months was no picnic. With no friends, I spent my breaks surrounded by the only things that were nice to me, the flowers. That's weird. I don't remember anything about a solar eclipse.
Heads up!
Did you know polo balls used to be made of bamboo, leather, and rubber? Now they're all plastic. Still, plastic can make quite an impact at over 100 miles an hour. Did you just ask to kiss me?
My horse had that pleasure. Not exactly how I imagined surprising you with my return. Let's get you some ice.
I could feel all the jealous girls' eyes burning holes into me as I rode off with the prince. And I couldn't have cared any less. It was insane how handsome he had gotten in only a year.
I'm sorry I didn't let you know I was back, but my father has decided he will step down from his throne.
That's great news. Just looking at you, I can tell you're ready to be king anyway.
Not if my sister has anything to say about it. She has the queen on her side. My mom will do anything to make Esmeralda the new queen.
I gagged at the thought of her being the ruler of my country. Well, how about we make sure that never happens? Deal. From then on, I knew I had to do everything I could to make sure Esmeralda didn't get that throne. All the girls at school were so annoying as they tried desperately to get the prince's attention. I knew most of them were Esmeralda's minions who were all out to get Alfonso and create a scandal that would sabotage his chances to be king. That wasn't going to happen on my watch. Make way, everyone! Royalty coming through! Step back 3 paces,
You can look, but you can't touch. Like the sun. Glance and look away. Eventually, Alfonso begged me to be his buffer. I felt like one of his bodyguards as I tried to keep away the designer hyenas.
Kara, we need to talk.
I can't hear you over the howling!
I need to ask you something. I want you to be my girlfriend.
Honestly, I was just as shocked as everyone. Shocked, but pleased. I just wanted to be a simple gardener, and now I was the talk of the school, the town, and the country. The future king's new girlfriend is what the papers would call me in the morning. The truth was, I was totally freaking out. I was so stressed I couldn't sleep, so I took a walk in my peaceful place, my garden. I just wanted to be with my flowers. As I got closer to my garden, I almost collapsed. All of my flowers had been destroyed in one fell swoop. I knew only one person who could be cruel and evil enough to do this.
Let this serve as a warning to you, servant. You will never date my son, and the throne will be Esmeralda's.
I was devastated. The next day, I was assigned to work under the queen since the garden was destroyed. I knew it was going to be bad, but I was still hopeful.
Your chore list for today.
That's not so bad. I was blamed for the fire in the garden, even though everyone knew who was really responsible. From then on, the queen tried to make my life miserable. Little did I realize, good old Granddad had my back. Granddad wasted no time in helping me clear my name after he spoke to the security guards. The king was furious at the queen's actions, and I was immediately given my old job back. Unfortunately, my job description underwent a tiny change due to Her Majesty. The queen made sure I was still the castle's whipping girl. Nothing changed, except now I was inside and not working outside. That suited me, though, since this was the most important night of the royal calendar. Somehow, I need to talk to Alfonso.
Psst. I can't give my speech. I know I'm going to screw it up and Esmeralda's going to take the throne.
Oh, don't even get me started on Esmeralda and the queen. I've got so many issues with them. Oh no. Too late. Here it comes. It ain't gonna be pretty. I can't remember what I said, but all my frustration with the queen and her evil daughter came pouring out. What was supposed to be a pep talk for Alfonso turned into a roast of my two nemesis.
Oh, you're funny. And when you get on a roll, nothing can stop you.
Glad to be of service to you, Your Majesty. Alfonso, you can do this. I believe in you.
Thank you, and you're right. I can do this. Come on.
When I opened the door to the closet, I knew I had made a massive mistake.
Oh no, my microphone was on.
I had committed treason in front of everyone! This was exactly the screw-up the queen and her mini-me minions were looking for.
You have made a mockery of our country. You and your grandfather will be dealt the swiftest punishment possible for your insubordination.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny.
I thought it was rather humorous. Something that's been missing for many years now.
I beg your pardon?
You remember laughing, don't you? Some of her jokes were rather dead on.
Do you think it's funny to say our lovely daughter has a head so large that when she wears a crown, she's able to receive transmissions from the space station?
Funny? Yes. Appropriate?
You trust me?
Always.
And what other jokes tickled you, Your Majesty?
What was that one you made about the queen's shopping habits?
I was just observing it's way cheaper to go shopping than to go to a therapist. But her style is so bad, all her handmaids are in therapy anyway. It's a psychedelic shopaholic extravaganza oozing palooza.
You are very funny, young lady. It's decided. You're my new court jester. Guards, release her.
With a new room, new job, and an absolutely ridiculous costume, I was feeling like the royalty I had pretended to be with all my stuffed animals all those years ago.
We're doomed!
The queen went to her lawyers and claimed His Majesty was crazy for hiring a madwoman like myself. She was going to make sure Esmeralda was queen, one way or another.
What are we going to do?
Win. We're going to win. The day had finally come where it would be decided who would run the country, Esmeralda or Alfonso. I could tell straight away that Al was nervous. He didn't need to worry, though. I had his back. Your Honor, I'll be presenting the case why Bucktooth Beaver over there has no right to Prince Alfonso's throne. Exhibit 1, just look at that face. Objection! You can say that again.
Objection noted. Sustained. Do you have any other evidence?
Glad you asked. I do have a few things to say on the matter. When I finished, The whole country was laughing. By the end of the day, I had gone viral. And at the end of the next day, the Queen and Esmeralda were gone. I had made Esmeralda and her mom even more famous than they already were. Just not in the way they were hoping. King Alfonso would go on to be a great king. Kind, compassionate, thoughtful, and a tremendous public speaker. Turns out, I got to be quite a bit more famous than I was expecting to. I turned my so-called disability into my #1 asset. And now, as queen, you better believe I've got a few things to say.